So I'm going to do a bunch of how-to videos around how to use this app, which you should have access to. I'm doing it on simulator on my MacBook so that you can see the mouse and where I'm going to be clicking. Obviously, you'll be using your finger and touching on your iPhone or your iPad. So this is the interface. There's a whole bunch of tabs at the bottom and a whole bunch of additional tabs if you click on that More button on the bottom right. But the main tab where the app fires off has a list of ACIS categories here by region. So in terms of the ACIS categories, there's tiers, and the first tier is region. So you've got all the South African funds together. And if you scroll down, you've got some global funds there, or global categories with global funds. Further down, you've got the worldwide category, and then you've got regional categories as well. Now, it's sorted by assets under management, so that you've got the South African categories have the most assets, and therefore they appear first. And the category with the most assets, you'll see here 797 billion, is the multi-asset high equity category, and that's why it appears on top. But if you wanted to change the sort order, you can go to settings and go back to, for example, alphabetical. And if you came back in there, and I'll cover all of those settings in a later video, you can now see that it's actually alphabetical. So first the global categories, then G for global, R for regional, then S for South Africa, and finally W for worldwide. I don't want it in that format. I want it by AUM, also because it puts South Africa first, and that's where I'm generally looking at the data. Now, if you're at the bottom of the screen, and you should know this if you're an iPhone user, if you just click at the top, it'll scroll all the way to the top. But otherwise, you can just scroll up and down. Now, always look out for these little icons, like the information icon on the top right here, because that leads to, if you tap on it, it's going to lead you to more information. So I've got one here, as well as clicking on the row. You can see this little disclosure angle bracket that tells you there's more information beyond this. And so clicking on the row will take you to different information to clicking on the eye. So clicking on the eye will give you information on that category. So this is CIS category, the multi-asset high equity category. And I'll scroll down just to show you some of the information that's sitting in there. There's a lot of information in this application. Whereas if I clicked on the row, which is this angle bracket, anywhere I can click on this row, as long as it's not on the eye, it actually lists all the funds within that category. Now, you'll only find retail funds in here. Okay, there is an exception. I'll talk about it in another video. But I'm just scrolling through, this category. You can see if we go back, there's 213 funds with 797 billion in assets under management, and the cash flows for the most recent month was 3.74 billion rand. I haven't put the currency units here because everything is in rand. So if you had to click in there, you'd actually see. Now from here, this is sorted alphabetically. So firstly, you'll get the numerics. So names starting with numbers, followed by the letter A all the way to Z. And again, you see a similar sort of pattern here. For this fund, there's a bit of information provided, like the size of the fund, 16.5 billion, the ACIS category, which we know we're in, but you can get to the screen from different views, and you could have different funds from different ACIS categories. That's why I put the ACIS category in there, as well as this innate ranking, which again, I'll cover in a separate video. But you can see again, the little disclosure angle bracket means I can click on the row, which will take me to certain information. So this is returns, or I can click on the eye for detail on this specific fund. And there's a lot of detail here, which again we'll go through in sort of future videos I'll go into each of these, but there's a lot of information in here. So in addition to that, I've mentioned there's also these little, potentially these icons at the top. So for this one, specifically for this ACIS category tab, you'll see that little information button takes you to the overall ACIS information. And so this is information about the various categories. So you've got, for example, cluster dendrogram, which is machine learning, hierarchical clustering of those ACIS categories. It takes the average return of all the funds in the category and then looks at the similarities or differences between those. You've got descriptive statistics here on the returns for the categories. You've got your box and whisker plots. You've got risk and return plots. Again, all for the ACIS category on average. So if you take the average of all of the funds, as well as the size of each of those categories. So just information on the ACIS categories in aggregate, each of those ACIS categories. Different to if you came to this more button, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to industry. This has all the funds together. So it has information on the industry. You can see that there is every single fund that has at least 36 months of returns. So you can see there's plenty. If we went to 12 months, there's even more. Or 60 months, there'd be less, but there's still, probably 1,000 funds plus. In here, you can actually see at the top, it will tell you there's 1,384 funds with 3.02 trillion rand and positive cash flow for the month. Obviously very nice, 15.9 billion rand came in for the month. So this is overall industry a tab that you can have a look at. So that's just a quick rundown. I am going to go through each and every one of these tabs. I'll go into individual funds and you can see all the information there is on a fund. I'll show you the ACIS categories. You can do the same for an advisor. So you could go and have a look at Allen Gray or 91 or Coronation, etc. I'll cover that in future videos. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks, bye.